So today is back day. Fresh out the cold shower. Hey, look here, man. I know it might be a placebo. You got different, you know, people telling you how cold plunges or cryotherapy or all that stuff don't work. It do work. I've been taking cold showers for years. Every morning, I'll take a cold shower before I come in here. And it's always made my joints feel better. It's good for your skin. And it's not even like a cold plunge. It's just, I get in the cold shower and I've always felt better, especially if you like older and you got joint issues. It does suck, I'm not gonna lie. It does, because the build up to taking a cold shower, you be like, ah. But as soon as you get in there, it's a couple of seconds. I can say I always felt better. And if I had the space, yeah, I probably would get a cold plunge. But fresh out the cold shower, today is back day. And today's message is that you owe you them goals. More specifically, health and everything that comes with that. Like, I think once you get your health in check, I've said before, you can actually, it'll start teaching you how to be more willing to do other things. Because that's a tough one to stick with. But it started, I would say, with just, I had to stop lying to myself. I did. I used to lie to myself. It's not that easy for me, and I didn't have access to this or that. When I did have access to certain things, I just didn't want to take advantage of those things. So what used to get me is if I used to work out with somebody, then I stopped, then they kept going, and I'm seeing them. It didn't feel well. It didn't, because I'm like, man, if I would have just stuck with this person, I would be where they are. And then I start seeing that for everything. And I said, man, I'm not gonna go through that no more. It ain't gonna be the whole what if thing with me. If it pops into my head and I think that it might better my situation, even if it don't, I'm gonna do it. And then I'll just, let the cards fall where they may, because at least I did that. I gave it my all. So when it comes to my health, yeah, I'm gonna make sure I do what I need to do, and I can't lie to myself, because I spent, some years doing that. I did. I would spend a number of years just lying, saying I was doing stuff. Depending on who you're talking to, I'm gonna adjust. I'm gonna adjust what I'm telling you based off what I think you want to hear. Man, you still doing that? Yeah, man. I've been eating right. I knew I wasn't, though, because it showed. It shows. Unless you are somebody that has one of those rare ailments, only like a small percentage of the population has, it'll show, especially as you get older. I think one of the biggest lies I've told some lies in my day. I'm not gonna get on YouTube and be like I was some honest Abe all the time. But I remember this dude I was in the Navy with. We had went to medical. We had the same birthday month. And it was in October, and he had to go back in like November and December. And I was like, man, what's going on? He said, man, they just told me I have a hyperthyroid or something, he had said. And he was a heavier dude. And I was ticking up to that 300. And I was like, dang, so what that mean? He said, man, it's just my thyroid, man. I gotta take this medication. But it's a little bit more difficult for me to lose weight. And then I remember like, dang, okay, well, I'm gonna start using that. And so if I would talk to somebody, man, and I didn't self-diagnose myself, I'm telling folks, yeah, man, I got a hyperthyroid. Instead of me just, fixing my eating habits, I'm telling you, I didn't take ownership at that time, man. I just wasn't ready to. I didn't take ownership, and I was out here lying, telling folks. It's just crazy to say it out loud. I was telling folks that I had a thyroid issue because I didn't want to change my habits. And I'm not saying anybody I know do that. I'm not saying y'all do that. But if you do, stop that. Matter of fact, I did that for school. In the Navy, depending on what training you've had and whatever, you'll get college credit. They give you some type of credit just for going to boot camp. And I had became a ship serviceman. I was like a junior ship serviceman. And this one dude I knew, he was, we were stationed at Balboa Hospital. And man, that's when like Navy College at one point in time, I don't even think they were tracking how many, I think it's like $4,500 they'll give you a year to go to school for tuition assistance. I think it was just untapped. Like there was no cap on it at the time. But we were stationed at Balboa Hospital. This dude, his name Roland. I don't know if he'll see this, but he was like, man, I'm about to go to school. And I was like, man, what you doing that for? It's just, I had already, I joined the Navy, but I had flunked out of community college. What you doing that for? He said, man, it's free. The office is right around the corner. Most logical thing ever, but I still was just like, what you doing that for? So he went over there and they did his evaluation. And then they told him, based on our job as ship servicemen, he had a couple of college credits. I think it was like intro to business, computer applications. He had these credits already before he started. And he's like, I'm gonna start, man, because I already got some college credit. And I said, they told you that? Let me see the paper. Bet. I said, man, congrats. I later went and started telling people that. Like, yeah, man, I'm a ship serviceman. And they gave me college credit, so why not? I mean, I can openly say this stuff because that's who I was. I think, honestly, I was toxic and I used to manipulate myself and others before social media, because if I didn't change then, I would have been one of them cats trolling on social media. I really believe so. I missed the social media troll window, or the indoctrination that's about that, because I was doing it in front of you, lying and just all types of crazy stuff. But yeah, I owe me good health. I definitely owe my family good health, right? Like my son don't know, I've said it before, he don't know he saved my life. Yeah, as far as like the drinking, I'm talking like, man, I could have had so much liver damage. I don't know if y'all know this, but I read somewhere that it takes your liver a whole year of not drinking to heal the scars, depending on how much of a drinker you were, right? So I remember reading that somewhere, like, I gotta stop for a year. But he don't know that when I found out he was about to debut, that's when I stopped. So the way that I show him that is via suplex, or I'll walk in his room, knock on his door, and do a dad stare, like, and he'd just be like, well, what's up? Nothing. I said knock on the door because if you got a 14-year-old, you don't know what's going on in there. So if you're a father, mother, and you happen to see this, I know I don't probably have women looking at these, knock on that door with them teenagers, because you don't know what type of liquids and stuff is being dispersed around that room. I just say that because let's just say, man, I'm scarred for life for what I had saw one day. I owe my girl good health. I owe her that. Like, when I met her, I worked out 13 years ago. So I think I owe her that in order for me to stay in shape. Now that's a personal thing. That's not some standard. But yeah, when we met, I was working out, and I knew then when we had met, because I didn't have to change, man. We were talking and she was just like, so yeah, I work out. I think she said she was going in the evening. I said, yeah, I work out in the morning. And she was like, what time? And at this point, it was real unhealthy at that point. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. Now it's a little later, it's like 3. But I still was going to bed early. But I had my son, so I was just like, everything, he was going to bed, I'm going to bed, I got the monitor. But she was like, oh, that's cool. And she didn't have a problem with it. See, at that point, I had my son. After my divorce, I wasn't just about to be out there back in them streets, because I had a son, man. And the way I was running them streets, man, I used to have chicks like keying my car. It was crazy, man. Just being a young sailor and being from LA and running back and forth. It was dumb stuff, right? And, we met and I'm talking to her, and she didn't have a problem with me not being in that bed at 1, 2, 3 o'clock. And some of the other, women that I was trying to date at the time was like, what you doing? You ain't just going to the gym. So I think because she accepted that lifestyle of me I was locked in. When I met my old lady, I wasn't even in school. She had already went to San Diego State, got hers, and she supported my education. She was the editor for some of my degrees, man. Somebody like my 2 bachelors and my first 2 masters, I would send my papers to her so she can kind of like read them. So I owe her that, and not to say, man, let me get comfortable and she's gonna be here anyway, because we don't know how that worked, right? You, you see what's going on with these celebrities, but I owe my old lady that. I owe my son that. I owe my students that. I owe it to me to bring the best version of myself, and it starts with my health. So when acknowledging that I owed me that, it cut a lot of the nonsense out. And, I just really just focus in on doing what I know I need to do. We tend to know, but if we're lying to ourselves and we just, at one point in time, I thought, man, I could still drink. Like you can. I'm not somebody that's gonna be slapping double shots out your hand type stuff, man. That ain't me. But drinking and working out just didn't go hand in hand with my goals. It didn't work out. That's why I was looking like whatever muscle I thought I had was flat. I'd be out there and I'm like, man, as long as I'm working out, man, I'm good, man. Gotta have balance. And I personally just don't think that they go hand in hand like that. Like I said, I'm not somebody that's judging anybody unless we are really close like that or we're conducting business like that. I don't be caring. It didn't align with what I was trying to do and what I'm trying, like knowing what I know now about my fitness goals. So I usually start back off with some pull-ups, get the blood pumping. There's different variations of pull-ups and they do different things. Now, sometimes I'll do chin-ups and I'll do wide grips on this, and then I'll have like the wide grip palms in and close grip on the lat machines. I always do 2 and 2. But today I'm just gonna do the closer grip with the pull-ups, and then because I didn't do wide grip with the lat machine. I used to hate pull-ups. And I'm not saying I love them now. I just said I think they're a great compound upper body movement. And I couldn't do them, man. And they used to have me feeling like a B word. I was in the Navy. I was on amphibious assault ships, and we used to have to be on there with the Marines, man. And they would be in there just knocking out pull-ups, and I'm in there just hating. Like, man, that's all y'all do. It's pull-ups. And then when they would leave, I would try to get up there. So I always start with some pull-ups. Today, close grip. But I can say, once you take that ownership, it's kind of like game over at that point. Because you acknowledge it. You'll think back to like, man, I was out here wasting time. Like on the different levels of both, like to be on both sides of the fence, I had to realize how like harmful a lot of that stuff was to myself, man. It was, but it's also who you around, right? Like now, once you get that part down, like your health part, I wouldn't say surprising. It's not surprising, but the way people will question it, will question if you bring in some food that's already pre-made, or I used to take my protein drinks along with food, different jobs I worked at. People just like, you'll see somebody just no self-control over what they're eating and will question you and say, man, you got a weird relationship with food. I'm just like, have you ever heard of like gluttony? And I would think back to when I used to drink and stuff like that, and how nobody would say anything about certain things, man. I'm talking like, I'm drinking, you put two and two together, we leaving the club or wherever we at, and I'm about to get in behind this wheel. And nobody would say anything, but some people will go bat ass crazy when you when you pre-make your meals and you track your food. Like, I'm tracking my food, I'm no longer drinking. Man, you obsessed, man. Gotta have balance. Until January 1st come around or something like that, then these are things that universally we know we should be doing. But when you do them throughout the year, if people aren't doing them, that's when it's just like, okay, they get weird. But then you start thinking about the things you used to do in excess going in the other direction, and it would be supported. It would be supported if we would have our fitness tests in the military. I got to go in the back room because I got to get taped. I'm going to suck my gut in, stick my neck out so I can make weight. And I come out of there and somebody I was cool with will be like, what happened? I'm good. We both knew I wasn't, but I was able to get them to give me the score that I wanted. And then we would go right down, maybe leadership for lunch, and just eat bad. And that person that was there with me saw what happened, saw how I had that fraudulent score, and then be like, hey man, just start trying to check it. That way next time you don't have to do all that. But now, fast forward to where I'm at, you gotta have balance, man. I don't wanna be like what I was. And when you have to overly explain that to people, that's when it's just like, man, who really is supporting your health? And I'll tell you, many don't. That's why you owe it to you. If you thinking people about to throw you a parade because you want to turn your life around, in any facet, but especially health-wise, there's no parades out there. An odd thing now, right? If you say you gain 50 pounds and you're starting to work towards losing some weight, you gain 50, and I've said something similar before, and you lose 10, keep it up, man. Congratulations. And then if you was like me, you got to play damage control when you gain back 5, not knowing water weight, not being honest with yourself, not taking any ownership. And it's just, depending on who you're around, you'll get some sympathy for that. Now, here I am now. I'm empathetic because I've been there. I'm not sympathetic to anybody else's habits because I don't know people, right? But depending on who you're around, they'll excuse it. When you lose the weight, you lose 50 and you keep it off, because some people can't do that and they haven't figured it out, and I think everybody can, unless you're like a sociopath or you just don't care. That's when it gets kind of weird. That's when people will start saying, well, because you got access to this, and we be so busy idolizing these celebrities. We'll say stuff like, man, it's easy for those guys because they got access to the top of the line chefs. When you got people that's around you, that's doing it and showing you, and you just don't want to buy in on what they're doing. Crazy. I do my face pulls sitting down. Don't ask me why. It's just a little tougher for me. That's why I say now, I'm gonna tell that story because I want people to know. You can do it. You just got to probably stop doing this or stop doing that. Reach out to people, get some insight. If they don't want to give you the insight, reach out to the next person. You just kind of, sometimes you got to keep reaching out because people are weird. And when they put you on, stick with it. The one thing I've learned is that all the self-help books and the motivational speakers and the recycled quotes, all these banners that I have in here, nobody cares, work harder, they all kind of say the same thing. It's just what you absorb and what you stick with. So like I said over here, close grip. I don't have a wider grip over there. So, you know, I'm cheating on the power tower with the wider grip over here, but. Sorry if the mic was rubbing. Yeah, I think I'm somebody that's supposed to, tell you. It depends on who you talking to, how some people see it. To where they think you're trying to flex or whatever, but I figure if I'm open about the past, I'm not doing it no more, right? Very open about barely graduating high school. I'm not embarrassed, but I was embarrassed at the time. I've moved on from it. Very open about flunking out of junior college. It happens to more people than you think. People just don't like to talk about it because, man, you got people that was just like me. I tried to go to junior college in 1998. You got people that was around that time that did that probably fizzled out and still don't want to talk about it. And they in their 40s and 50s now because they are embarrassed about what people will think. And in some cases, they don't even rock with these people like this. They don't even deal with these people. Very open with, I retired from the military after 20 years. Almost didn't get in there. I had to take my ass vab like 3 times. And then I finally made the cutoff. Felt like I won the lottery, yo. I do hyperextensions twice a week. I do them on back day for the lower back, and I do them on leg day. Because, man, my disc used to be so messed up that if I slept wrong, you just sleep wrong. I'm in that thing like this. So now, do the core exercises, hyperextensions. I do my stretches every morning, and I'll put the red light joint on there. If you got back issues, check it out. And then when you take ownership, you become the example. People will say, hey man, like, is this possible? Is that possible? You start doing that, people will pick up on that you do it. And if you are telling everybody that you're working out, and I mean saving the theatrics, man. Sometimes, sometimes people will give theatrics. I'm doing this, man, but I got this going on, and we all do. And it's not that I'm not, like I say, I'm empathetic, but not sympathetic. I'm empathetic to trying to sustain a workout regimen while being a parent, being in a relationship, being an employee, being in the military, going on deployment, coming back from deployment, trying to get reacclimated, getting out of the military, getting a career field in, when you get out. You're not happy there, you want to go somewhere else and feel that you need to get another qualification. All this stuff that's happening in life, but you still got to make sure that you keep your health in check. It's tough, but you make it a permanent because you owe it to you. You do, man. Like this is it. You in this. You're not leaving this. You can't trade it in. Yeah, dudes can't buy butts, and if you did, that would be weird, right? You just in it. So it's up to you to be the best mechanic and do what you can to sustain it. Because as you get older, it does get tougher. But when you make it a permanent fixture, to where, to me, if I don't work out, I'm crabby pants, man. If I don't eat right, I regret not eating right. It was the opposite of that. There was no like, I didn't feel any type of way if I didn't work out when I knew I was supposed to. I didn't. I just was, all right, well, I'll go tomorrow. If I don't go tomorrow, right? And then I'm playing damage control. Somebody be like, man, you ain't working out today? Nah, man, why you worrying about what I'm doing? Why you worrying about what I'm doing? And then I'm acting like that after I was telling them the week before that health is wealth. I'm about to get back in there. Crazy work. I said before, I like this this attachment because I use it for 2 movements. You know, 2 variations, 2 different grips. That grip, then I'll switch it over. I would say if you do adopt a circuit, maybe put an exercise in between those 2 movements because it can be tough. I'm not saying anybody's a punk or anything like that, but I've been doing circuits so long that the conditioning aspect of it for me. I mean, I used to do circuits, I used to be drenched in sweat. About 80 degrees in here right now and I'm good because the cardio. Running them stairs, I think I done exhausted my sweat glands for the week. It was hot as heck at the event we went to yesterday. People out there sweating. I'm just like, y'all good? But yeah, I am naive. I am naive enough to believe people can stick to their health goals. People can start that business, walk on the moon. You know why? You know why I feel like that? Because you see people doing this stuff. And you see people doing it. They tell you what they're doing, some of them, not all. And we still will be like, nah. And then we wonder why, you know, we feel like we do in here. And then it makes us think to project. That's how trolls are born. That's what a troll is. A troll is somebody that lost control of their self-control. So they start scrolling, then they start trolling. I just made that up. Let's get some t-shirts, guys. Hey, let's get some t-shirts. I had this dude. Hey, this dude left this comment. And like I say, it don't bother me on YouTube because I don't know these people unless it's somebody that got a weird YouTube name that I went to high school with. He was like, doctor, whatever, punk. Why I gotta be a punk? And I've never, if you know me, and say if we somewhere and I'm briefing at an event and they introduce me as Dr. Brantley, when I get up there to a podium, Mike's good. If you ever walk up to me and be like, hey, Dr. Brantley, Dr. B, Mike is good. Only time I use it is because when I was working at San Diego State and I was leaving there, I was in the middle of trying to buy this spot. And I told everybody that would listen, I'm about to have me an epic garage gym. So my coworker, Captain Price, the Army Ranger, he was, you know, we used to do all the scholarship stuff together. He got me the sign, Dr. B's Lifting Club. He named it. I didn't, but I was like, that's cool. So then I made a little logo just in case I wanted to do some fitness stuff down the line. But I've never introduced myself as that. It might have been on the gram for credibility because I'm talking to you about educational programs. But I understand that a doctor in the medical sense that's it. Then there's probably the PhD or whatever. But I wasn't in that room when they put doctor of and they start naming degrees years ago. People just get weird, man. And the only other time that I use it, if I'm trying to reach a student, say they don't respond back, say the school reaches out to a student and they ignore emails, then I'm a beef up my signature. Be like, Dr. Michael Brantley, EDSP. So I seem more important than I really am. But people are so like just odd about accomplishments, man. When we all, it's access. We all got access. It might be different phases in life, but we all got the access. The recruiter's office is open. There's jobs that are announced that we all apply for. And we just gotta be a fit. You gotta be somebody that they want. And you can't always just blame, what happened to you in life. Because you didn't take any ownership. as to why things didn't work out. Man, there was a couple of jobs that, I kid you not, it was everything on the job description but my picture, right? Preferred veteran, doctoral degree, experience in this area, preferred certificate. I had all that. But I probably went in there too hot and heavy. Because this is a different video, but discipline can cut two ways. It can. Sometimes, like if you disciplined and you ambitious and you driven, some folks don't want that energy around. It's no difference than you walk into a room and you in shape. Some folks automatically assume that you are a version of yourself that you're not. It's been plenty of jobs to where I would talk to somebody and they would, first thing they would say, are you sure you know this is a salary? Yeah, that's why. That's why I applied. Like I knew that part, right? And I would be in there for the interview and they would be like, well, give me two strengths, two weaknesses. And I would be like, well, you know, I'm a disciplined person, very ambitious. I believe in just the team aspect, but ambition comes with, if I have it, they have it. I believe in, you know, sticking to a goal, whatever the vision is, blah, 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 blah. Two weaknesses, very disciplined, very ambitious. And they would be like, well, how are those weaknesses? Because everybody don't want that energy around. You know, that's like the person that comes in talking about happy Monday. What are you talking about, Susan? Happy Monday. The weekend's over, right? So if you are a driven, ambitious, go-getting person around a culture that's not that, yeah, they're gonna have a problem with it. It ain't no different than you being 40-some-year-old kind of lean. People that's not, people that's higher body fat, they're gonna accuse you of something. They're gonna say you showing off. They're gonna tell everybody you got some hidden advantage. When behind the scenes, I had just took ownership of what I know that I was doing. I knew I was holding myself up. And I got documentation. I got thousands of just different phases of life to where I wasn't in the best shape. And I knew why. I didn't bring it when it came to career stuff and in the military. I'm out here mad at people for advancing. I wasn't studying. And I'm just running the streets, but I'm blaming everybody else. Take ownership. Take ownership, I'm telling you. Acknowledge what it is that you're doing to yourself. And then go out here and get it. And know when you go out here and get it, it ain't gonna just lay out the red carpet of opportunities for you, but you never have to be like, what if, right? I never wanna be like, man, what if I would've took back control of my health? I didn't wanna be, well, yeah, it was, because I lost 100 pounds because of daggone kidney stone. I was forced to, but it's worse than that for some people, man. Some people out here having heart attacks and strokes, and then they gotta change. They probably ain't even got control of parts of their body no more because of habits. And I don't want to be like that. And I don't want to miss out on opportunities. I would much rather miss out on the opportunity for a job for being considered overqualified. At that point, I probably shouldn't be there anyway, right? If I'm that ambitious and I found a loophole to get my access to all this free education and I'm a go-getter and it's frowned upon for that, shouldn't be there. I shouldn't, because it's always going to be there. Now, when I like to know that you got the opportunity to progress and promote, but if it's frowned upon because I went and got the stuff, like when I got out the military, I say when it came to credential wise, I don't want to have the required stuff, the stuff you're supposed to have. There's a bottom of the, this thing making noise. There's a bottom of the description. It'll say preferred plus stuff, preferred doctorate, preferred. I'm just giving an example of stuff I looked at. I wanted that stuff preferred. That way I got confidence when I'm applying, but I also know after that it's culture. Do I fit, right? Pause. And if I do, game time. And if you're willing to do these things, like to me, if I see somebody that got all the preferred plus stuff and I can look at them and be like, man, they look like they're a pretty disciplined person. I know that I can lay them tasks on their behind. hey, get a task to this new guy. he or she will get it done, but that's why I ain't hiring nobody right now.